Only 3 motos remain in the 2022 season. Only 3 more chances for victory in the 250 class. The stars are headed to the starting gate. Hampshire, Shimoda, Jett and Hunter Lawrence. Moto 2 is moments away. It's round 11 of 12 in the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship, sanctioned by AMA Pro Racing, the Tucker Freight Line's Ironman National, and yes, a title hangs in the balance for Jett Lawrence here in the 250 class. Jason Wygant and the 6-time AMA National Champion Brock Glover here. Jett Lawrence doing what he has to do. He won the first moto a little over an hour ago. If he can replicate that, he could be champion by the end of today.
He could. He could use a little bit of help from his brother there, too. If his brother can finish second and Joe Shimoda be third or worse, that could be the championship. I believe it would be 51 points, but we'll see what happens.
There is Jett, who had, by his standards, not been as good as usual the last couple of races, hadn't led a lap in the last 2 rounds, and suddenly he leads right to the end of the first moto. Now, we're going to show you the highlights of that moto here as our race recap. Again, it's a little over an hour ago. First, watch this. This is the lights are flashing and the flags are waving. You're not supposed to jump. Justin Cooper and Hunter Lawrence do.
2 flags and the lights flashing. So they go over Godzilla, jump. You see Hunter Lawrence glance to the left like, was that the flag I should have not been jumping on? Now here Jeff Canfield showing team manager Lars Lindstrom. Look, man, there's pretty irrefutable evidence there. And so it looks like he's reading my lips, 2 points, 2 points. So they might be removing 2 points from both Justin Cooper and Hunter Lawrence. Helping Jett.
Yes, because Jett's trying to eliminate both Hunter Lawrence's brother and Joe Shimoda from title contention. And Lawrence is also battling Shimoda for second in the series. So those 2 points could loom large. That appears to be the penalty. There are results from that moto. And actually, we hear that 2-point penalty. It is official now, and that will officially eliminate Hunter Lawrence from title contention, who is right on the line. So now Joe Shimoda is the only other rider mathematically that could win this title, and it is dire for him. All Jett Lawrence needs to do is outscore Shimoda by 2 points here, and he will be your 250 National Motocross champ for the 2nd straight year. Riders are on track taking their sight lap. I don't even know if Hunter's aware of all this. Doesn't really matter as far as how he's going to race this race anyway. He's going to go out and try to ride the best he can.
I think you're right. And you know, Hunter right now, he just knows. He knows one thing for certain. He wins this moto. He has the #1 plate. He doesn't have to even worry about going to Fox Raceway weekend. I mean, Jett, I'm sorry. And it's what he wants to do. He was going to go out and try to do this. And when I saw the first moto, I don't see any reason why he can't do that. Halfway through that race, he just was by far the fastest rider on the track, and he showed everybody the way to the checkered flags.
Came from 5th to 1st in Jett Lawrence. Now for Hunter, he had taken a 6-point deficit on Shimoda for second in the series, down to 2 points. But now with the 2-point penalty, it will be a 4-point gap between Hunter and Joe for second. And you know that Honda wants the 1-2 in the championship. And I'd imagine there's some bonus money on the line between Shimoda and Hunter Lawrence, so they want second place. Jett Lawrence, meanwhile, on the precipice of another title. Stay with us.
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive. General Tire. For whatever you do, General Tire delivers. And by Honda, celebrating 50 years of off-road dominance.
Got the GoPro camera on Pierce Brown's gas, and this shows you what the track was like earlier today in qualifying. And that is your GoPro course preview. Great shots from the Hero camera. Oh, no, the famous covered bridge. A lot of covered bridges in the area, so the motocross track added one of their own symbolically.
As you can see, this track is just beautiful, but going in and out of the shade of those trees is a little bit tricky on the goggle companies and riders' eyes, so it's important. But the traction here is just perfect. This is the Midwest loamy soil. It's why the corn stalks grow about 12 feet high around here, but it's best motocross track.
All right, thanks for GoPro for the pictures all year long. We're chronicling the great champions of the past of this series as we celebrate 50 years. Let's talk Abingdon, Virginia rider Zach Osborne, one of the likable characters of the sport. And his path to motocross success was a long and winding road that took Zacho all the way to the top. Yeah, Zacho, I know he's watching at home. Let's get some insight onto this racetrack here with the MX versus ATV Legends track map.
Well, the one thing we're showing here, Adam's just busting a move here heading toward Godzilla, but we have complete elevation changes around here in the flat part of the country and very steep jumps here again off of Godzilla and perfect traction. Great, lots of ruts, tough track.
That's our Adam Scene Cerullo sector of the game there. FMF Privateer Power Award goes to Derek Kelly of AEO Power Sports KTM. Had a great ride. He's been really good all summer long. Real quick, KTM keys to the Moto here, Brock.
Well, again, good starts, nail the ruts. That's what this track's all about. Lots of ruts, got to do them right.
250 Moto 2 about to get underway. Points-wise, we got it wrong. Shimoda's a little bit
real quick, real fluid. We were told that it was a 2-point gap. I made a mention that if Jett wins the championship, it isn't 2, it's 4. So Shimoda has to finish third for Jett, and Jett win. That would wrap up the championship.
Card sideways, revs are up. Gates down.
Yeah.
Oh, Shimoda, an unbelievable jump on the 30, but coming around from the outside is Justin Cooper.
Surprise, surprise, the 32 Monster Energy Yamaha up front. And I'll tell you, Jett had a nice jump, but so did Shimoda, but somebody went down. We're going to figure it out real soon who that is.
I think our camera did. It went down for sure. Yeah. So Justin Cooper with the motosport.com whole shot. Shimoda in third. No sign of Jett Lawrence. See him back there, maybe 9th, 10th. Another good start for Volan. Yeah. Hunter Lawrence up there as well.
Yeah, Max Volan has a couple of great starts here. If he can just carry a little bit more momentum up towards the front. I thought I had a peek of maybe rider DeFrancisco, but I don't know. You'll have to tell me.
And 2 riders are down. That's one of the Star Racing bikes down as well. Can't tell what that is. Hayden Deegan, who crashed out of his debut in Moto 1. Yep. He has now crashed in Moto number 2.
With 337, that's Slade Smith from South Africa. But boy, it's Hayden's having a welcome to the pros, right? I mean, this is a tough break.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, barely made it out of the start. Meanwhile, Shimoda going back after Cooper for the lead, and he's got it.
He's already got it right there. He said, okay, Jett, this isn't going to be that easy for you, buddy. I'm not laying down as he just launches over that. That's such a fun thing to watch if you're ever here at Ironman. Go over there and watch these guys do it. It's poetry in motion.
Hunter Lawrence up to third, and Nate Thrasher, another good start. He was 4th in Moto 1. He's 4th right now in Moto 2. Then it's Hamaker, Volan, DeFrancisco, McAdoo, Small, Hampshire. We do not see the number 1.
We saw that camera get taken out in turn 2 there. I wonder if that had a number 1 Honda attached to that, whoever took it out, because I don't see him. Oh, now we're seeing him pop up in 12th. Sometimes our timing and scoring does a little glitch there, so we're just watching what we can see on the monitor there.
Well, it's still not a great situation starting in 12th. We'll see if he can make a comeback. Oh, off the track for Hunter Lawrence, and then gets back on.
Again, I focus on that mechanics area. I've yet to see a rider glance over and be able to see the chalkboard there. It's just too hard to take your eyes off those ruts, and if it is, it could be a catastrophic crash.
So there is Lawrence just outside the top 10. Talviku, the rider out of Estonia, is battling right now. He's got Levi Kitchen right behind him. And looking to split those two.
Yeah, outside, inside. It seems like Jett can just take any line he wants to take and make it a pass out of it, too. So that's not easy to do. Whoops, gets pushed off a little bit, heading up towards Godzilla here, just flat out through these big rollers. And this is just about a, 10-story launch? It's incredible.
That's our Beta Motorcycles drone cam showing you this action here as Jett tries to get through the traffic in front of him. Well, with Shimoda out front and Jett back here, chances of wrapping the title today not looking good. But obviously, we're only into the 2nd lap of this race, and a lot can change. About Talviku, he has been very good. Jumped in, I think, at Unadilla.
Yeah.
And this is an impressive ride right now.
You know, it's funny. You see these riders, we talked about it earlier, you know, riders coming from Spain, grocery store workers. And we've got, this rider coming over here from Estonia, it's just fun to see him coming over in America, and they want to show their case. And this is where the job opportunities are, really, in the 250 class particularly.
Lawrence not able to get around him, and he's got Levi Kitchen all over him, looking to get around. Kitchen really fast here in his return to racing from a broken wrist. Rider out of Washington in the number 59. But Talvaku holding his own against Jett Lawrence right now.
Do you think Talvaku knows it's Jett Lawrence behind him? Or he doesn't seem to care, but I don't even know if he knows it's him.
I'm not sure if Jett Lawrence knows who Talvaku is, but he can't get around him.
Exactly.
And right in front of them is Pierce Brown and Jalek Swoll having a battle. Shimoda's pulling away from Cooper, and Jett has made the pass now, the rider from Estonia.
Yeah, we're watching the monitor here, seeing it clicking off one more lap. Jett's just calmly working his way towards the front, and occasionally here he's got Pierce Brown ahead of him, Jalek Swoll, just slowly but surely, just one rider at a time. That's all he needs to do here. But you know, if Joe stays out front, I can guarantee you that Jett would like to chase down his friend Joe and show him who's boss.
And this battle with Brown and Swoll is hot. And somehow Jett found a line around both of them. He gets around Brown, and now he's going to try to get Swoll.
And Jett's made multiple passes right here around this outside, but he doesn't want to get pushed off that over-under bridge there. That would be a really bad get-off.
Brown fights back now on Jett, and Brown's going to be on the inside as they get to the top of the Godzilla jump. Let's see if Brown can repass.
Yeah, Jett's just trying to stay clear, keep their fender rubbing down to a minimum here. But he's making his way, made it around Pierce Brown there, and now he's going after Jalek.
Used to see Swoll and Brown battle a ton as kids in the amateur ranks, and then Swoll and Jett Lawrence had one of the all-time battles at the Monster Amateur National Championship at Loretta Lynn's. They finished in a tie. It was down to the 10,000th of a second once. So funny to see these guys hooking it back up. I mean, Swoll and Brown used to battle all across the country for years. They've hooked it up again, but right now it's a battle for top 10, and it looks like Lawrence has got the move.
Made the move there. Yeah, those Loretta Lynn's titles, that's fun to watch these guys. They go all over the world, come here, Loretta Lynn's, and I get to listen to you all the time on my laptop. You've been calling that for years and hours on end.
It's really where Jett Lawrence put himself on the map, because Swoll and Brown were really established players. Jett Lawrence in Australia and then riding through Europe, few had heard of him, and when he came in was able to beat them. Suddenly they were like, wait a minute, we got someone that was not on the radar who's going to be a force to be reckoned with, and he's a force now in this moto because he just went around. That would be Hamaker, I believe, who just got by.
Yeah, we saw one of the Kawasaki's go down. And you know, you're talking about Jett Lawrence here growing up. You know, obviously raced the Loretta Lynn's a few times, but where really made a big difference with him.
There's the struggles there for Hamaker on the 47. Go ahead.
Yes, yep. and to be able to go over the whole Lawrence family, you moved to Europe, while Hunter chased, you know, factory Suzuki motocross GPs. But while Jett was young, I mean, he was based in Belgium near the Lommel track, the famous Lommel track. And it's not just like anybody shows up at Lommel. It's like the who's who of motocross in the world championships. They're practicing there multiple times a week. And this is a young kid that got to cut his teeth there. I mean, I'd love to see him ride Lommel, considering how many laps he's probably taken that. But it's certainly developed him into the rider that we see today, and it wasn't a highly catered rider that had everything handed to him. He had to work it and earn it, and some tough elements over there. So I know he's got a long history and a long future in this sport. Sorry about the going forward.
Battling with Hampshire right now, who was up front in the first moto, ended up on the podium, but now he is in 7th, and Jett Lawrence is 8th. Up ahead of them is McAdoo, Volan 5th, Thrasher 4th. There is your leader. As you watch the Thor battle box, Joe Shimoda starting to get away from 2nd place Justin Cooper.
And while this is happening, Joe Shimoda's out front. Nobody's roosting him. He's not reaching for tear-offs, not needing to. He's doing 2:03.7
Brown has
lap
gone
times.
Down.
Yep, and Pierce Brown tips over in one of those ruts we talk about. I mean, Ironman's full of them, and you got to be careful. You got to do them clean. If you're not, you're going to go down. So Shimoda's running 2:03.7s. Jett Lawrence is now kind of clearing out to run. He's running 2:04.5, so he's 0.8 slower than Shimoda. But you know, we'll see. We've seen what Jett's capable of. Once he gets a little clean track, he's going to start closing that gap.
Closing the gap is Hunter Lawrence on Justin Cooper, and this would be for 2nd. But Hunter Lawrence needs more. His goal is to upend Shimoda for 2nd in the series. So he really wants to go after him. It would also give Hunter a shot at the overall win. So several different things hanging in the balance here. Hunter's got it inside on Cooper. Not able to make it happen.
Yeah, Hunter right now, he'd like to get past this 32 Justin Cooper and start trying to do some damage to Joe Shimoda. He needs to get up there as this second place in the championship is going to disappear. Yeah, so one of the things we talk about, if there is a fine or it's a point penalty reduction and it doesn't affect your actual position on the track. So even if you have 2 points taken away from you, it's not like Hunter Lawrence is unofficially not given third place. He's not moved back to fourth. He just gets 2 championship points taken away after it's tallied.
And here's why that matters. If Hunter can get around Justin Cooper here, I believe he will be in position to win the race overall today with 3-2 scores, which would edge Shimoda, who'd be looking at a 5-1. So a lot of different math happening all at once for both Lawrence brothers as Hunter tries to win the overall, but he did lose a couple championship points with a penalty. And then Jett was hoping to wrap the title today. That is not looking promising right now since he's back in 6th. But we know this, the battle for second is on. Justin Cooper clinging to it, and Hunter Lawrence all over him trying to take it.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing a little action here between Jett Lawrence going around Max Vohland. That's really close. They were only a second or so apart last time we saw him. And if Jett gets into 5th, and things start changing for that overall win.
Yes, that's right. We do have to factor in that Jett is able to gain a lot of positions coming through traffic after the bad start. He did win Moto 1.
So yeah, Jett needs to get around both Vohland really and Thrasher to make it comfortable for the overall there, but it's likely gonna, oh boy, that looks like that. Yikes, man.
What'd you see there?
It just, Hunter right on the very edge, and he just pulls a Chase Sexton right there that we saw in Eli Tomac. What a great move there. I'm sure that Hunter was watching. He saw what Chase did in that first 450 moto over at the Honda camp, and it was easy for him just to replicate that same move, and it was a fantastic move. The inside, we see it, there's the split screen I was hoping for. Thank you guys in the camera, and the woo, boy.
Jett's trying to get Vohland here.
Yeah, he tried to cut underneath him there. Just about got his front tire caught on Max's rear wheel. But here, Jett's been using that inside line a lot, mostly because I don't think he thinks it's faster. It's just, he's got to take an alternate line over the riders ahead of him. But this is an important pass for Jett.
So right now, by our calculations, Hunter Lawrence would be the overall winner today. But again, that's only for now. Jett has an opportunity to gain positions and help his cause if he can get around Max Vohland. That's what you're watching in the lower right. That is a battle for 5th. Hunter is in 2nd.
And right now, looking at just the previous lap, Joe is actually pulling ahead of Hunter Lawrence. He just did a 2:02.5, so that gap's getting a little larger. I mean, Joe had a 5-second lead on Hunter, but Hunter, see what he does, see if he can come through and start making some attacks. We've seen Hunter do that. He doesn't, he doesn't slow down during the race. He's very consistent. And we've seen him do that in Supercross too with Christian Craig all over his rear fender. He doesn't buckle under pressure.
So Max Vohland getting a real test today. He has basically been a come-from-behind type rider this year. But today, 2 good starts and a totally different type of scenario, dealing with pressure from your defending champion.
It is. It's a lot of pressure right here. But again, Max has really done a great job today. I think it's kind of surprised a few of us that he would have such strong runs, especially early part of this moto. But this is a good learning experience for him.
Brown is now out. Jett Lawrence down to the inside and makes the move on Vohland. That's 5th.
Yep, he's now into 5th place there. So with Joe Shimoda finishing, I believe, 5th the first moto also, right? And then 5th 5-1, so a 1-5, 1-5, and a 5-1. So a 5-1 would take that with Joe. But so Hunter does have to make this extra, or Jett has to make this extra pass on Thrasher to get this overall, and I'm sure he's going to hit that on the chalkboard here pretty soon next time he goes by his mechanics.
All right, so overall wins on the line. The one thing not really in play right now is the titles, because Jett has to gain points on Shimoda, and right now he's fixing to lose them with Shimoda way out front. But for Jett, all he can do it's not really panic. We're talking about wrapping up the title one race early.
Yeah, I think
he's fine going into the finale.
Yeah, I think the ticket sales at Fox Raceway just went up a little bit because everybody wants to say, hey, listen, I was there when Jett Lawrence won his second championship at Fox Raceway, so here it be right here. And they also want to see the 450 championship come down to the wire, too. So Fox Raceway, get your tickets, right?
It's looking good that both titles will be up for grabs going into the final round of the season. Wow. Fun to watch Jett pick his way through like a trials rider through there, standing through that tough terrain as he tries to close in. Jett Lawrence, can he wrap up the title early today in Indiana?
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on motorcycle insurance. Motosport.com. Make your next ride your best ride. And by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast.
We are back on a wild afternoon of racing. Lucas Oil Pro Motocross next to last round here. Penultimate round, some would say, from Indiana and Ironman Raceway. We're halfway through this race, 15 minutes down, 15 minutes to go. You can save 15% or more on your insurance with a quick phone call to Geico. Jett Lawrence here, the number one in red, has caught Nate Thrasher. This would be for fourth place on the racetrack, and he's trying to dig out the day's overall win. He won the first moto. Would 1-4 scores be enough to get it done?
Well, we can see right now that Jett Lawrence is now starting to put the hammer down, dropping out of those 205s and 204s. He's got clean track. He's down in the 203s, starting to reel it in. He's actually doing faster lap times than his older brother Hunter. He's doing up in the 205 range there, 203, depending on where he is in traffic. So Jett is now moved around Nate Thrasher, and he's on his way forward trying to get up Justin Cooper. And we saw him last moto able to reel in Justin Cooper and take it away. So you see, look at that launch. Has a big air right there coming off. A lot of the guys are not sure to scrub it or launch it. Jett's just like, I'm over it, I'm launching it. So coming around the first corner, this hot line, it's been funny that line from the way outside has been good all day, and Jett's just back on the gas. Just looks like he's 3/4 effort, but he's sure clicking off the fast lap times, and it's just perfect there. So hitting that jump and come right over the top of that rut.
So he is in fourth. Justin Cooper is pretty far up the road, almost 4 seconds. We'll see if Jett can get to him. He would have a 1-4 right now, and that would be enough to edge Shimoda, who would have a 5-1. But the real calculation is Hunter Lawrence. Hunter Lawrence would have a third and a second right now, which ordinarily would be 42 points. But he has taken on a 2-point penalty, and we have been told that does apply to the day's overall as well. So that actually makes it only a 40-point score for Hunter. And I believe if you put all of this in a blender, do a couple calculators, an abacus in there, maybe some fingers and toes, I think Jett Lawrence has the overall win now.
I think you're right. And I think we're trying to outthink this thing. We may stand back for a minute, but it's good. It's fun to know who's going to win. I mean, it's like last week at Butts Creek. Oh my God, at the 450 class, it changed. It was so fluid. It changed every half a lap, not even every lap. So we weren't even sure who was going to win that one. But it's fun doing it, and that's what we're seeing here. So again, we talked about the hole shot being so important here at Ironman, and guess what? You know, Justin Cooper is one of the very best ever in our sport to get hole shots, and he nails the number 32 Monster Energy using that extra horsepower, that YZ250 that they have, and pulls another one.
Yep, the Motosport.com hole shot goes to Justin Cooper, who is now running third in this moto. See a couple of riders piling into our camera on the inside of turn one. Show you the gap here from Cooper to Jett Lawrence. There is Cooper.
Okay, the big wall jump there coming down in front of the mechanics area. Again, it's not as rutted as it used to be in that section, but these guys are going so fast trying to get set up for that corner. Again, I don't think they're glancing over very often and seeing that pit board. But here it is coming out of the first corner. Jett is taking that wide line, using this uphill left hand. That's a really fun corner, actually. And these guys are just pinning it, clearing the little knob. And watch this. See if Jett jumps this. There he did it again. See, he's hitting that big wall, that inside knob, and he's actually jumping over a pretty nasty rut that I'll guarantee is probably at least 2 feet deep. So these guys coming up with these clever lines like this is why he's got a number 1 on his bike.
And looking to get another one Although it's probably not going to happen today as far as the title clincher, but he's looking good going into the finale. Let's send it down to Jason Thomas with the team manager for Team Honda.
I am with Lars Lindstrom, and Lars, you've got pressure in both classes, titles up for grabs, penalties being handed out. I'm not sure what you need, a calculator, maybe a sundial to figure out what it takes to win these championships, but walk us through what it's like for you trying to figure all this out on the fly.
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to do. You know, you're trying to figure it out, and they're changing every lap. So, you know, you're trying to do your best, but basically right now we need to beat Joe by a few more points than we're beating him. We needed 4 more points in this moto, and it'd be tough to do. So it's better that way for me. I'd rather go into the last round and be a little more prepared for that. But at the same time, it's just nice to be in that position, right? We got a pretty big lead. And right now, you know, we've got the overall with Jett, and he's coming up on Cooper, so he's going to pad that a little bit. Just trying to see if we can get Hunter up a little closer to Joe.
Well, it doesn't get any easier for Lars here. As soon as he wraps this moto up, they get back to the Tomac and Sexton battle.
Yeah, a lot of stress for Lars going for both titles with Honda this year. Go ahead, Brock.
Well, that was a great summary on that, JT. That is
he makes
true.
the move on Cooper.
Yeah, he does make the move on Cooper right here and moves himself into 3rd place as he crosses by the finish line. But that was a great analysis on that, JT. It is almost impossible. It's so fluid here. And even Lars Lindstrom, who's 2nd generation, his father, Gunnar Lindstrom, was one of the founding Swedish riders that came over and helped introduce motocross with the likes of Torsten Holman and the DeCosters and the European riders that came over early on in the 60s. So Lars has been around a lot of motocross races and has got it in his blood, and if he can't figure it out, there's very few of us can too.
Yeah, and Lars has seen it from every angle. He's a heck of a rider himself. Was a mechanic with the team. So Jett Lawrence making that move on Justin Cooper gets to 3rd. That makes the overall win that much simpler to calculate. He'd have a 1-3. And Jason Thomas, our reporter, had said earlier in the year, it's almost like he's an evil math genius. Whatever possible way you can win an overall in a weekend, Jett Lawrence has done it each of those ways this summer.
Yep, he's 50 ways from summer. He just does it so many different ways. He's got 2 2s, 1 1s, 2 1s, 1 2s. You name it, he's done it. But I could watch that one corner we talked about earlier where he's jumping. It's right in the background there. He's jumping that little road. I could watch that, sit there and watch replays of that. It's watch again. I want a video of it, and I'm going to push watch again because it's just clever what he's doing. You guys have any fans and riders out there, amateur riders? Watch that stuff.
Well, let's talk about that. We had a conversation before the show. You're seeing a lot of coaches and trainers mention this stuff. They'll put clips on Instagram and slow-mo and say, look at how Jett does it, or look how Sexton does it. I was talking to my buddy Filthy Phil Nicoletti, who's not racing today. He's out injured, and he's like, but here's the thing. Everyone knows it. Everyone sees it. But doing it at 100% pace, on the edge, and doing it right, that's the hard part. Any one of these guys could ride at 70%, perfect. But Jett's doing it at 100%.
Well, we talked about that, I think, even all the way back on my first broadcast at Hangtown, where Eli Tomac has changed. You know, we had the Marty Tripes of this, you know, early 70s, and he was a feet on the peg guy, and he was actually trained riding without a seat on his bike. But he stood a lot. Eli also does the feet on the pegs, but you see him going through corners, and we saw some footage earlier. He flat out, and I don't like to use the 110% because really 100 is all you can have, but at 105 or 10, he was flat out, feet on the pegs going through a corner. And it's remarkable what these guys are doing on a motorcycle. And again, you can talk about, go practice going through a corner, you know, feet on the pegs through these gnarly ruts that you see here at Ironman. But the difference is he's doing it at full 100% speed. He doesn't do it any faster. He actually does it slower with his foot off the peg. And that's what is truly so remarkable. And it is changing the riding style of American motocross.
Hampshire is closing in on Thrasher right now. But we got Jason Thomas with special guest, JT.
Now I'm with a man who is no stranger to going fast, Mr. Antron Brown. Now we're used to seeing you in an NHRA dragster, but you're out here at Lucas Oil Pro Motocross today. Is a weekend off? What brings you out?
Weekend off. I'm out here to see my good friends, the Sword family with Malcolm, and see the Lawrence brothers from Honda. It's so cool to go back to my roots. I started off at motocross when I was young, and I went to a straight line. But it's just phenomenal to be out here at the Lucas Oil, out here in Crossville, close to my hometown. It's just a pleasure being out here. And I feel like I'm at a super national event. We got our U.S. Nationals next weekend, but it's cool to come out here and hang out in the dirt for a little bit.
Well, I'd like to see this gentleman go head-to-head with a one Justin Cooper on who could get the best start.
Yeah, he's got some reaction time. Thrasher and Hampshire still battling. Hampshire able to make the move. That'll move him into 5th. Go ahead, Brock.
Yeah, no, it's just so fun seeing Antron out here. If you ever get a pleasure to hang out and talk to him, and I actually have a few times, and he's a regular at the Indianapolis Supercross, and he's so good with the people, and he's just so energetic. But again, he talks about it. My roots are motocross. There's a lot of guys that really came up racing motocross, and you look at, we talk about the Jimmy Johnsons, NASCAR champion, all these different people. These guys, I mean, I grew up with the Johnson family. I bought my first motorcycle that I ever raced in my life from Jimmy Johnson's grandparents. So these kids all cut their teeth. They know motocross is so important and teaches you so many skills. And Antron, he loves it. And when he's off weekend, instead of hanging out doing nothing, he comes out and watches motocross.
And it's great for us to have, yes, that Indianapolis round of Monster Energy Supercross and then an Indiana race in Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, because there's so much motorsports in this area. Race shops, and that's where drivers end up living. So it's really cool that we get a lot of guests for both of those events. A little cross-pollination there.
I was driving on my way from Indianapolis, about 50 miles. We're northwest, basically, Crawfordsville from downtown Indianapolis. I'm on my way out here on the freeway for the MX Combine, and dark 30, and I look up, I see a couple of look like Featherlight semis. I'm going, I got to be some sort of haulers. Teams like motocross guys, and it wasn't. It was the IndyCar Championship, 2 semis. They were the safety car and the official semis going on to another event. So yes, Indianapolis, the hub of motorsports.
Absolutely. Good battle here. We got Jalek Swoll, who's had a solid run. Actually was pretty strong last week. Had a rough start to the season, but he has been racing through injury and just keeps showing up at the races. I got to give the kid credit. I mean, I go all the way back to round 3 at Colorado, and I'm like, are you going to be able to do the motos today? And he's like, I don't know, I hope so. And he just kept showing up. And lo and behold, by the end of the year, we're starting to see him creeping back toward that top 5. Right now running 8th. And he's got McAdoo, who missed almost all the season with injury. And that's what we're saying. This is the odd year where riders are getting stronger as the year goes on. Usually the field starts to thin. But it's fun to watch these guys battle.
Well, some of the riders had some injuries during the Supercross season. It took them a little while to come back. So when they try to get back on the motocross track, they're not 100%. We saw that earlier. We talked about Justin Cooper and, again, Jalek Swoll. And it's nice, the Husqvarna guys have had a really tough team. Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, particularly a 250 team, well, even the 450 team too. But they've got Malcolm Stewart back, and as Antron mentioned, come out and watch Malcolm ride. And then, you've got RJ Hampshire winning last week, and they've got 2 guys in the top 8 right now. So good. I travel with those guys every weekend. A lot of us fly same airline, we have the same kind of schedule, and you really do get to hear both sides of it, and it's fun, and I'm glad that this guys finally can put a smile on their face.
Well, it's that roller coaster, and you rode it as well as a racer, the ups and downs of motorsports. It's tough week in and week out. Yes, the Husqvarna team has had a tough summer, and then all of a sudden Hampshire goes out and wins the last race of the season. It's tough to predict this game. Yeah. Watching Cooper right now in 4th. Yep. Speaking of Hampshire, he's digging and closing in.
Yeah, RJ Hampshire right now. We're just starting to watch that and catch it on our screen. He's got parts hanging off of his bike. I'm not sure what incident that happened, if it just popped off from his boot or what may it be, but he's grabbing a lot of handful. This is what we saw last week in him. He's got that desire to come forward, and I do think he's starting to get his bike set up to his liking, and boy, he's sure closing in on again, we've talked about Justin Cooper. He's a Team USA Motocross Nations 250 rider, and he wants to be the top American. You see an all-international podium at this point. This is what we've seen often this year. But Justin Cooper, he really, RJ's going, maybe you should have considered me.
RJ at the beginning of the year, I believe he finished, can I use the term top American at the first Moto of the year behind the Lawrence brothers? And he said that was his hope. He wanted to be on Team USA. Season got away from him. Now he's put it together late, but the team has already been selected. Good battle right now between them, though. Cooper and Hampshire. This is for 4th. Hampshire has really changed it up the last couple of weeks.
And it could, I think, I don't even want to say anything because I don't have my calculator and abacus in front of me right now, but this could be for the final spot on the podium there. So RJ, he's really trying to get it. Justin Cooper looks like he's almost checked up a little bit. He's looked over.
Yeah, he did, and now Hampshire is there,
and
he did not charge that corner at all.
He's not fighting at all. I don't know exactly, again, you probably spoke with him a little more than I did. I don't think he was feeling very well last week at Budds Creek, and it doesn't look like he's 100% physically.
Yeah, because we saw him just cruise and win motos big time at both Unadilla and Washougal. So the fitness was there just a couple of weeks ago. You have to figure something else.
It was.
Happened. Yeah.
These riders, I mean, I think a lot of people know this, but they physically run I mean, it looks like RJ's swapping the whole time because of that side pedal. I have to look twice.
Oh, yeah.
But the riders here at this level, they run at the red limit. So they are right on that. And when you're running red line,
you mean from a physical standpoint?
Yeah, so they're at the rev limiter on physical. So when they have one thing happen, they get sick, and it's not like they're bouncing back tomorrow. And it's so easy for them to get sick because they're pushing themselves physically so much more than the average person, and they don't have a lot of body fat. There's lots of reasons for it. So, again, when you become ill in the middle of a season, it's a tough one to come back from.
Yeah, so what you're saying, they train so hard. They're at the point where their body will actually, they'll almost get sick from training too much, which I think most people wish they could even get to that point.
Yeah.
Wait, you're saying I could work out so much that my body actually starts to go the other direction?
You can't.
That's the level they're at fighting all the time.
Absolutely. Yep. They're compromising their immune system. They're at that limit all the time. I mean, there's a reason why Tour de France riders and things, they isolate them after, and Olympic athletes, they try to isolate those guys after their hard exertion so they do not get sick and give each other illnesses, because once you go down in a longer race like that or a season like this, it's not easy to bounce back. And I know the Lawrence brothers were a little ill early in the year. I physically got on an airplane with Joe Shimoda at Mount Morris, and he sounded like I would have been in bed, but he was coming back from a national, and he didn't sound good. So it's good, but it sure looks good today right now, riding really well. And coming through the first corner here. Again, this is what we saw reminiscent last week, where he just rode fantastic.
You know, Shimoda got his first overall win of the year at Redbud. I'm just going to read you his scores in Moto scores second half of the year. He goes 1-3, 2-3, 3-2, 3-3, 1-3, 3-1, 5 in the first Moto day, and 1. He has been in the podium in all but one Moto in the second half of the season. Phenomenal what Joe has put together this year.
Yeah, exactly. It's again, doing it on my fingers here, and don't hold me to this. It could be Jett, Joe, and Hunter still, even with the penalty of 2 points for Hunter. But it's again, don't hold me to it. I don't want to read something on social media that I messed up.
Yeah, Hampshire's a podium factor as well. Looking at the 2-4, and Hunter took the 2-point penalty from the first Moto. And what this all, the beneficiary, it all works in favor of Shimoda. He and Hunter are battling for second in the series. Now, technically, as he gets around Matt LeBlanc, young rider coming back from elbow and collarbone injuries today, technically Shimoda can take the title down in the finale. We don't expect it to fall out of Jett Lawrence's hands, but that second in the series is big. I got to imagine there's big bonuses on the line. And that's why this Moto win looms so large, because Shimoda's going to put 3 points between himself and Hunter, who is in second. And that could be all the difference next week.
Yeah, especially for a rider like Joe. You know, we talk about him being he was a tryout rider for the Monster Energy Pro Circuit team just a few years ago. So I'm guessing, I know he's got a good agent and all that, but I'm guessing he doesn't have a gigantic signing salary, and he's probably got some nice bonuses for finishing the top 2 or 3 in championships. So I think it has to be a difference of some pretty good financial reward for finishing second in championships, and he picks up the white flag.
1 to go. Shout out to Nick Way, former national winner as a racer in his own right. Started working with Shimoda this summer. And whether it's Way or Joe himself, probably a combination of all of it, Joe has absolutely shot up the ranks. Supercross season was really subpar from what we thought we were going to see from Joe. And he has gone next level, and we have to start thinking next year, title contender here with Shimoda.
He absolutely is. And you're talking about that Monster Energy Pro Circuit team. They either, Ivan Tedesco does a lot of testing for him, but he also works with some of the riders, and then some of the riders work with Nick Way. And Nick Way actually was the guy that's supposed to be sitting in the seat I'm in right now is Adam Cincerello. So I know Nick works with him too. So Nick has a lot of expertise, and he's got a young son coming up too. So whatever reason it is, if it's just hanging out with the Lawrences and picking up some of their speed through osmosis, I don't understand. But whatever it is, Joe has done it, and Nick and the whole Monster Energy Kawasaki camp and the Joe Shimoda, hats off to all their progress this year.
Yep, so Shimoda looking at another Moto win. It's not going to be enough for the overall today. Oh, a little style from Joe there. And Joe, by the way, is on the Japanese team for Motocross of Nations, so he'll be at Redbud at the end of September in the what is really considered the Olympics of motocross. So that'll be fun to see him mixing it up with his buddies, the Lawrence brothers, there again. And Hunter Lawrence second in this moto, Jett Lawrence third in the moto. The 1-3 should be the overall win for Jett as we count down the final few corners of this one.
Yep, down this long straightaway here and a couple of switchbacks, as I call them. Deep ruts, just a real right-hander and a left-hander, a right-hander, and it's over. So Joe has just done a great job. There's our compound in the background, little MAV TV trailer.
That's us.
That's us. We can hold our wave into the camera. And here comes Joe in his final corner up ahead, this right-hander, and take the checkered flag for another moto win. And it was well-deserved.
Going to be the fourth moto win of the season for Joe. Well, at 4 coming in. It's actually the 5th moto win of the season for Joe. But the overall win is going to go to Jett Lawrence here if he can hang on with the 1-3 score. Shimoda will be looking at a 5-1. Hunter Lawrence comes across in second. And here's Jett. Not going to be enough to wrap the title up early. Remember, he had a moto where he lost all points because his engine let go. But Jett Lawrence will win the overall here at Ironman Raceway. And he's back on top. I don't think it was a crisis or a panic in any way, shape, or form, but Jett had won all but one overall at one point this season and then did not win the last 2. But he's back on top today.
That was stop the presses when that happened, wasn't it? It was what a run. And it's, you know what he's doing? What he's doing is exactly what he should be doing to win a championship. I mean, he's running hard when he needs to. He's making passes. He's not getting into confrontations, into corners. It just is just nice, clean run up through the field. He didn't get 2 poor starts today, and he still walks away with the overall.
Yeah, and it almost disguises sometimes how good he is, because sometimes the phenom-type riders, which is Jett Lawrence, you're used to seeing those type of guys want to go out and dominate, go 1-1 every weekend, win by 30 seconds or a minute. He absolutely takes what he can get, and it was enough still to win the overall today. Stasic is committed to growing the next generation of riders, and if you want to be in a future broadcast, visit the website and submit your video entry. The products and experiences are created to offer progression through confidence. Look at that. Seeing the next generation of riders develop and grow is what Stasic is all about. So go to Stasic.com to learn more about the brand and the full range of eDrive electric balance bikes.
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. With a nationwide network of parts and care, Napa helps you get up and go. Honda, celebrating 50 years of off-road dominance. And by Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive.
And earlier today, the fans having the chance to hang out with Jett Lawrence. Oh, even giving him things to autograph. That's pretty cool. And, you know, they usually have a VIP section for Lawrence Brothers fans at the final round, which will be held at Fox Raceway at Palace. So come on out, hang out with the Lawrences. There should be a title celebration there, allegedly, potentially. Here's your Lucas Oil race recap of this moto. Justin Cooper out front. Joe Shimoda gets around.
Yeah, he quickly is making a statement where he wants to go towards the front, and Joe has just come into his own late in the season here, and he's showing that he's got the speed to win at any time.
Jett Lawrence, a terrible start. We had him 12th early, starts picking riders off. Here he gets around Nate Thrasher, but a pretty solid day today. But here he gets around Thrasher to ultimately finish up in 6th. And he goes after Cooper.
Yeah, very calculated move towards the front and ending up all the way up to 3rd place where he ends up taking the overall. But it's just, that's what you want to see. Don't get in any confrontations.
Shimoda goes on to win the moto, but he tipped over and fell in the first moto earlier today. So he ends up with 5-1 moto scores. That's not enough to win the overall. Jett had won the first moto. He goes 1-3, and that's more than enough to take yet another overall win. But 2 whole races had gone by without him winning, so that was like a big deal for him to get back.
Stop the presses.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop the presses.
Hunter Lawrence had a solid day, but he's going to end up on the podium, but again denied the overall win. He's come so close over and over this year. RJ Hampshire finishes 4th in the moto. Ryder DeFrancisco up in 14th. Hayden Deegan did get up, actually, from that first turn crash and finished 24th here in his first pro race. Let's send it down to the podium.
Well, I have here overall winner, Jett Lawrence, and I have good news and bad news. Which would you like first?
I'll go with the bad news first, please.
Well, the bad news is that you didn't clinch the championship yet, and this rolls on to Fox Raceway. The good news is all that's left, and you are our overall winner today. You bounced back. First win in a while, and you rode really well today, in my opinion.
Yeah, I heard you guys talking. You like it, go down to the last round. So I'm like, you know what? I'll do the boys a favor, and I'll just come out with a nice third place in the second moto. But it's I had a really good jump on that start, but once I got to the deep stuff, just didn't seem to pull as good as some of the other boys. But happy to come back to third. I struggled a bit of a flow then. I kind of took my time at the start. Didn't want to get any carnage, so I just took my time, gone to third, and then we just cruised home. So happy to be back on the top box and happy to get a win again, so that's good. So looking onto Fox Raceway, and should be a good one.
Well, thanks to Jett Lawrence for being the ultimate entertainer and saving it for the last one, Weege.
Wow, what a guy. It's 8 overall wins this season in 11 rounds, and the 13th overall win of his career. That would move him into 11th on the all-time win list in this class. We can show you the championship points here as we head into the finale. Fox Raceway at Pala, about an hour outside of San Diego, California. Shimoda has it down to 41 points. So he would basically need Lawrence to score none next weekend and win both motos, and the title would be Joe's. Okay, Hunter Lawrence is 8 points in back of Shimoda in that battle for second. Let's send it back to the podium.
Joe Shimoda, amazing second moto that win there, and I don't know what it is lately. I keep telling you this, but you are absolutely on fire in these second motos.
Yeah, just again starts. First moto, not good at all, and then second moto just had an okay start, and then went around the first 2 turns, and then yes, after that just kept charging, and took the win. So it was really nice. Just want to say thank you to my mom and dad, family, Mitch Bain, whole Monster Energy Kawasaki team, my mechanic Matt, trainer Nick, everybody else. Thank you so much.
Well, Joe Shimoda has turned into a full-on championship contender going into 2023.
Yeah, no doubt about it, because we would expect Jett Lawrence potentially for outdoors moving up to a 450 next year. Here's our next race and our final race. It'll be Fox Raceway. Fast lap qualifying at 1 o'clock, and then 4 straight hours of coverage starting at 4. Stay with us here on MAV TV. Go ahead, JT, from the podium.
Hunter Lawrence, good job there. You know, it's been rough and tumble, as I mentioned the first moto, but you're starting to find that rhythm again, starting to smooth out the rough edges, and back up on the podium again.
Yeah, it was a tough moto. It's not easy when you're not getting starts. You know, the top guys just get away so easily, but we're happy. I just found out I got docked from the first moto, so it's a bit of a bummer. But yeah, it is what it is, and carry some good momentum and just a good week of recovery and come out swinging in Impala. And massive shout out to the crowd. Everyone was unreal, and we could hear you around the track. So thank you guys, you're awesome. Thanks.
Hunter Lawrence looking great.
He is, and he'll still try to get that second place spot in points. He'll battle it out with Shimoda next weekend in our finale. That's a wrap on 250s from Indiana. Brock Glover, Jason Wygant, Jason Thomas, enjoy giving you the call, but we are not done. Another 450 class showdown looms, so stay with us.